He's a spirit child with you that's meant to grow. There's always something inside of you.
Hey everybody, it is your girl, Maria Ray Harris, coming to you via Facebook Live and IntellectualRadio.com, an iHeartRadio station, for a special edition of the Quintessential Queen Show, where we discuss not just the queendom, but the kingdom. Today we have one of the kings, my actual husband, Daniel Yarbrough. Daniel, how are you today?
I'm doing fine.
All
How's
right.
everybody out there? What's going on Facebook?
So, for those of you that are not familiar with Daniel's new reality, he is a recently published author of his personal memoir called Misled, which is the story of his life growing up in a cult. Now, to give you the definition of a cult, it is a relatively small group of people having religious beliefs or practices that the average person considers strange or sinister. So he is definitely speaking on being raised in a situation that turned out to be sinister. So in Misled, you really had to recount some deeply personal and traumatic experiences. What prompted you to tell your story now?
Well, I felt like people, in dealing with God, that's a very touching and a real situation. Okay. So I still see it is the reason why I wanted to, write this book now and put it out right now, because I see it in these different congregations and, different churches and different situations all across the map, where people would use God as a tool to be praised or to, had this power over people.
So when you say they use God as a tool to be praised, you're talking about they don't want people to praise God. They want people to praise the man who's in front of them.
Well, typically,
or a woman.
Yes, yeah. I mean, any cult is more about that person than it is God, and I see that a lot, and that's what prompted me. And I felt like, that's my calling. And people know me. People know me from, I'm Daniel Israel, and people know me for either the music or me teaching God's word. You know what I mean? And so, I see a lot of things that I think I need to address. So that's why I did it.
So when you were in the process of writing the book, how did you determine what part of your experiences to include and what part to not include?
Well, I included everything. You got to get the book. That's what you got to do. I included everything. Everything. It was a hurtful experience, for me and brothers and sisters of mine, siblings, and I included everything. I didn't take anything out of there. I think all of it is going to help me in my quest to awake the world and let them know that you don't have to join anything to please the Most High or Jesus Christ.
Okay. So now in chapter 3, 2 of the sentences went something like this. They taught us fear was holiness. I learned to tremble before I learned to read. So that alludes to what we'll call the controlling environment that you were in at, for those of you who don't know, the House of Judah camp. Now, help victims understand how that felt, because sometimes victims cannot articulate those feelings. And for people that aren't in that environment, they sometimes don't understand that level of fear
Mhm.
that you have when you are in a cult?
Mhm. Well, um, man, I was very afraid, and that's an experience that you was just stuck. Um, and in my situation, I was young. I was a kid. You know what I mean? So I didn't have any say so on anything that I was doing. I just had to follow it. You know what I mean? And it was just uh, it was just one of those situations where I was very afraid. I was very afraid. That type of situation. You know what I mean? So,
Well, because you were basically born into the situation,
mhm,
you saw, even though you saw it from a child's perspective, you
mhm,
saw how the programming and the process was for quote unquote Prophet Lewis, who
mhm,
was the person over the house of Judah.
mhm,
How did he and the camp itself, and I use the term camp because that's typically what it is called in Israelite organizations. Other people would probably call it a church,
mhm,
just for clarity's sake.
mhm.
How did it operate? Who was in control and what had to be done on a regular basis?
Yeah, now you're asking me a lot. Y'all better go get this book. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna tell you a little bit about it. Well, he actually had the control, and there was officers set up. You know, and different people had different positions at that levels and different levels. So that's how he ran it. He ran it, and he had his lieutenants and his people that was under him.
And so his lieutenants executed his vision
Of course,
and his orders.
yes, yes. That's what had to go on.
So initially at the house of Judah, it was your mother, one of your brothers, and you.
Mm,
Then later on, your sister and another brother joined you, and your mother had two other children while she was there also.
mhm.
How did your family's relationship evolve, change, grow, de evolve, depending on your answer, after experiencing life at the house of Judah?
Well, it separated us, and we grew up separated. It wasn't till later, to after everything happened, that we got back together. You know what I mean? So we was raised in different parts of the world. After that. So you know, it literally separated us.
And in looking at that, how did it shape your life after returning to the outside world? Because once you all left the cult environment, once
Mm,
you left the house of Judah,
mm,
and we'll talk about not too many details because it's a part of the book,
mm,
but you all were brought into what you all call the outside world, which was
mhm,
any place outside of the house of Judah.
mhm.
How did that work for you?
Well, I thought I was automatically going to the lake of fire because everybody outside of that, I believe that were sinners. Period. So when we did that transition from the camp to the outside world, it was like an alien. Everything looked strange. I didn't trust nobody, that's for sure. And I remember that was the time I didn't even let white people touch me at all, because we was taught that they were the devil at that particular time. You know what I mean? So man, I was scared. It's like you going to Mars, somewhere that you never been before, and that's how that went.
For those of you that aren't familiar with the terminology, the lake of fire is hell. So he was
Yeah.
afraid of going to hell.
Oh yeah. For sure.
And so one of Prophet Lewis's dictates was that white people were Satan.
Oh, for sure. Satan the devil, yes. He that's what he taught. So, and I can even recall, I give you a little bit more, even going to school, because at that point I started school in the fourth grade. Anything after that was
You started school in the outside world at fourth grade.
in the fourth grade. So, and like regular human beings, people touch, shake hands and stuff. And boy, I was terrified. Please don't touch me. And to the point where it affected me, where I didn't want anybody touching me. And I had an attitude with everybody, which led to me misbehaving on a lot of situations.
So, because of the religious teachings that Prophet Lewis gave, not just you, but there were many families at the house of Judah,
Mhm.
how did that affect your relationship with faith?
Well, for a while, I gave up on faith. I just didn't believe it was true um, at all no more. You know what I mean? Because the way I was taught it, it was so pushed on me. And so, it was so, I was getting beat and all this old type of stuff. So, I just gave up on it. I mean, God couldn't be real. And he, to let this happen, you know, the things that happened, which is in the book, there, it just, he couldn't have been real. So I gave up on faith, period. Now, later, I picked up the old Bible again.
Now, when you say later,
Hmm.
how much later?
It was later. It was after teenage, like,
You were a
to,
late teenager, early young adult?
young adult. Yeah, young adult. I picked it up and I read it. And then I realized that man's mistakes and sins has nothing to do with God. I realized that he wasn't following God because the things that he did contradicted what was written in the Bible. So it restored my faith by reading
For yourself.
for myself. And that's my message to everybody. Read it for yourself.
Now, you and I did a lot of talking during the writing of your memoir.
Mm-hmm.
And there were some times where you had to really revisit some extremely painful memories.
Mm-hmm.
How did you face that challenge? Because a lot of people choose to bury memories that are hurtful, but in order to get the memoir written, you had to actually walk through that proverbial fire again.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true. I literally went back to where it all began and where it happened at. I went back to the camp,
And where was the
and
camp located?
it's
Allegan County
Allegan County
in
is where,
Michigan.
yeah, it's like in Grand Junction and around that part, Allegan County, though, Michigan. Um, I had to go through that, man, and I remember driving back there. I'm by myself, and I having to go through everything and remember everything. A lot of crying and a lot of just, man, it was, man, and it took me, a couple of weeks, you know, to actually go there. I wanted to see where I used to walk around at and seeing the guard shack and, you know, so it was still some trailers up there. It was still some color of the blue and white, and you'll find out what I'm talking about when you actually go and get it from the book.
Just to elaborate a little bit, the guards had a trailer that was manned 24 hours a day, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And they were armed. Is
Oh
that
yeah,
correct?
yeah. They was armed. They had a guard stand, like a guard shack. That's what you'll call it. They'll climb up there so they can overlook the whole camp.
So they could look at the camp as well as the road that came
They,
into the camp.
right, so they can see like who's coming in, who's going out, or what's going on around there. So yeah.
And they were armed in case they felt like they needed to protect or defend or
Oh yeah.
control.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And so everyone knew that they were carrying guns.
Yes.
And so you lived in an environment where it was patrolled literally by armed forces.
Yes.
That's something.
Yes.
In going through that emotional turmoil, how did you walk that fine line between telling your truth but protecting your emotional well-being?
How did I do that?
How did you do it?
Man, this a lot of people say go through therapy, and that never helped me. I just made it in my mind that a person messed up the first part of my life. I'm not going to allow nobody to control or mess up the second part. And that's what kept me straight. I got a voice now. Now I can say, hey, well, let me investigate what you just told me that God wanted me to do. Because he got everything written out for you in the Bible. So now that helps me. It helped me as far as mentally and spiritual and everything, knowing that now that I'm the adult. I'm the man. I'm the one that's responsible for teaching my children and my wife and people that out here in the world, you know what I mean, for you know how to get this salvation and what they're really supposed to be doing. So that all helped me.
So writing Misled actually was a part of your latter day healing journey.
Oh yes. Oh yes. You can't keep that stuff bottled up. I've been through a whole lot. I, everybody know I done been locked up. I done been in gangs. Everybody knows. See, I ain't one of those teachers that, you know, never did anything wrong or, you know what I mean, or anything like that. I actually been through stuff. And that's just simply because I was mad at everybody. I was mad at everybody. I didn't know how to channel those emotions. I was mad at everybody. I didn't care who you was. I didn't. I was just mad at everybody.
So though for those people who, because some people can muscle through things,
Mm,
other people need a little different avenue. They may need a little more help.
mhm,
So for those that are in that space, do
mm.
you think that they should have some type of counseling or therapy?
I think I'm not gonna never say don't get counseling, but for me, you have to literally go through and understand what I've been through. I had Miss Schillinger. If you still alive, thank you very much, old little white lady. Hello. It's the first white lady I touched. You know what I mean? You're not the devil. I know I was cruel when I was young. But you know, she talked to me and she helped me. That was counsel.
So that was an educator
Yes,
once
yes.
you were in the outside
That was I
world.
was in the outside world. She taught me and stuff. And then I started reading on that situation. Let me just say this. On that situation as far as the white man's the devil and try to teach this hate towards some certain group of people need to know every person is God's person. God created everybody not chosen to be the priest, but everybody that is alive. God said, I'm the God of the living and not the dead. He said, I'm the Lord your God. All souls are mine. That's white people too, and everybody's.
So when you look at your experience
Mhm.
and you were one of over 60 children that were at the house of Judah,
Mhm.
when you think about that and think about all those parents that brought those children there, because none of the children came on their own volition. Nobody walked down the road and said, I'm just going to join up in them five.
Mm.
What circumstances do you feel led to people being a part of the house of Judah and bringing their families and their children with them? How do people get to the point where they identify with a leader so strongly that they don't recognize that they are in a cult?
Hey man, people want to belong. A lot of people really on a quest to find God. Really want to be that person that please God. And when people come with that, that's why they there. That's why them people in Waco drunk all that poison.
Well, they set the house on
Oh,
fire.
house on fire. What the
That
other
was
place?
Jim Jones.
Jim Jones had all them people to drink that, and they literally did it because they had this belief.
And some of them had a gun on them.
Some of them had a gun on, but they did it. You understand what I'm saying? And you got people, if I can make you think I'm Jesus Christ, I get the executive producer's checkbook right now, or anybody's. Anything that I want, if I can get you to believe that I'm either God or I got this special relationship with God, it's nothing a person that really want to find God and believe in God wouldn't do.
And that goes back to the need to read the word, because it's not that every pastor out here is telling you lies or deceiving you, but you have to know for yourself the difference.
Yes, yeah, you do. And I'm talking about I see it. And that's why I said, you know what? I got to tell my story. I have to tell my story because I see it all on YouTube. I done been at churches and different places. And anytime that you see a place where they're dictating to you, I don't care what it is, what to eat, what to wear, or anything, that's the makers of a cult. Because if you was just a preacher of God, you would come there and preach out of that Bible and show people where you got it from, and you would mosey on about your business.
I'll never forget, I saw a reel a little while ago, and there was a gentleman who was very upset with his wife. They were in church
Mm-hmm.
because her brother was a deacon,
Mm-hmm.
and she had released their W-2s to the deacon, and the deacon and the minister came back to her husband because he was not, according to their records, paying his 10%.
Mm-hmm.
And when he finished eating them up, and his wife, because I was like, oh my goodness, my first thought was, why did you have the right to know how much money he made and get involved with what his tithes are to God? That's between him and God.
Yeah, yeah. That's your sign, real. This is what I'm trying to tell you. That is the sign. Samson told me, Eddie Green,
May he rest
may
in
he rest
peace.
in peace. He was like a father to me. I love you, man. Um, he was there. And I remember, I'm going to say it since I said his name, he literally got beat for stopping me from getting the beating for nothing. He said, man, he didn't do nothing. They beat him. So that's all in the book, and I ain't gonna give you the whole book. But rest in peace to that brother. But they had to give up stuff. Samson, for instance, he had a scholarship to go to the college and play football and stuff. And he gave that up to his chance to have a chance of going to God's kingdom.
Well, from what I recall, because I interviewed him and I spoke with you,
Mm.
he told me that Prophet Lewis, and I'm giving you a synopsis of what he said, told him that he could not serve two masters. Either he was going to serve the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob,
Mm-hmm.
or he was going to go into this college environment on this scholarship and deal with that, but he could not do both.
See, that's
And he
the
was
gas.
young
Yeah,
too. He was
he
a
was young.
senior in high school.
Right, young, and that's the target. They're gonna get you young. My mother joined; she was young. They're gonna get you young, and see, that's the gas they hit you with.
Gaslighting.
You can't believe in God and play football at the same time.
Right.
You can't believe in God and go to the military. See, they separate you from the world. And you're in this little circle, and they get you to believe ain't nobody going to God's kingdom but the
People
two
that's
people
here.
that's there.
And everyone else is either the devil or the devil's henchman.
Oh, yeah.
And so I brought up the gentleman being upset about his W-2 information being leaked because this was not a situation where it was a quote unquote labeled cult. This was a regular Sunday church.
Mm-hmm.
And because people feel that they are in a church where I go once a week and everything's okay, they don't necessarily recognize certain control mechanisms even within normal church environments.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So when you talk about what people wear, for example, now we're not saying you should go to church with, your personal assets hanging out.
Mm-hmm.
But my grandmother, may she rest in peace, was a devout, serious member of the Sanctified organization. And they dictated what color nail polish you could wear and what color lipstick you could wear. It had to be, for nails, it had to be pearl, clear, or pale pink. And your lip color had to be almost like Vaseline, basically, it had to be very neutral. And I knew that's what she believed when I was younger. But when I got older, my thought was, where's that in the Bible? Who told you this?
Yeah.
And she, until she left here, she truly believed that. And I pray that she's in God's kingdom when that time comes,
Mm-hmm.
because her belief was sincere. But the leadership in her organization took it beyond the word of God
Oh, yeah.
to their personal belief system, which is a virtuous woman can only wear pink, light pink, pearl, or neutral nail polish and lip color.
Mm-hmm.
So these are what seem to be small things,
Mm-hmm.
but they actually aren't small things
No.
because that's a control mechanism as far as what I'm wearing and
Trying to
how I'm
control you.
polishing my nails and how I'm wearing a certain lip color. Like I would get put out of church for the lip color I got now for her church.
Mm-hmm.
I would be a harlot. So,
See,
it's crazy.
and those type of things that it bothers me badly. Like it really ruffle my feathers or whatever you want to call it. I'll be really pissed off when I get a little hint of someone trying to take that control over people enough to tell them what to wear. If you wear this, you're going to the lake of fire. I'm not saying dress like a harlot or nothing like that, going to church and praise God, but people they go too far. They go way too far. Those are the signs of getting yourself involved in a cult. I don't care what they call it.
And the reality is, most people, honestly, probably haven't really read the Bible. So they go with what the person in the pulpit says because
The biggest mistake.
that's what they're used to doing. And they've probably been doing it for generations. And as you just said, that's the biggest mistake because how do you know what that person is telling you, especially if they are not referring to certain scriptures or the ones who, similar to Satan. Satan got Eve in the Garden of Eden because he told a little bit of truth mixed in with a whole lot of lie.
Right. Right.
So sometimes you'll get
Right.
that person that cherry picks from the Bible with a little bit of truth, just enough to sound right, and then throw on another shovelful though of a lie.
That's exactly how you get deceived. A lot of them go, Jesus Christ died for the sins of the world. Okay, truth. Now I can sleep with any woman that I want because I'm the leader. here. I got the right to any woman here. How? That would be a lot of sinning. Some of these women married. That's adultery, fornicating, all this type of stuff. But see, that's why we have to read the Bible or end up in a situation like I was raised, and it was terrible.
So, for any of our listeners who may have experienced something similar or know someone who has, what message would you like to share with them about survival, recovery, and finding a purpose after having such an experience like this?
Tell yourself, repeat after me, I will not listen to no one when it's concerning my salvation. I will read the Bible for myself. And when people tell me something, then have them prove it to you.
One of the biggest arguments I've had, as far as my mother always said, "Oh, don't talk about politics and religion." And I always tell her, if you are an adult, a real adult, you should be able to talk to anyone about anything.
Yeah.
So I do. She knows that it drives her crazy. But
Mhm.
when someone tells me anything, but in specifics when it comes to faith,
Mhm.
I ask them, because I keep my Bible in my car with me, so it's wherever I'm going. Show it to me in the Bible.
Mhm.
Since you're saying you're quoting the Bible, where's that scripture?
Oh.
And 8 times out of 10, they can't do that.
Mhm.
And 1 time out of 10, they are quoting something incorrectly
Mhm.
as far as what they're talking to me about. And that one last time out of 10, you're dealing with someone that actually has read and has a basis for what they're saying.
Mhm. And some of them will read 3 words. Now look, man, restart at the beginning of that sentence. Then you find out whatever he said have a whole different meaning to it. You know what I mean? So, you're gonna prove to me what you saying about Jesus Christ. Prove to me where I have to do this in order to be saved. You know what I mean?
Prove to me
Yeah.
that you are his quote unquote chosen one,
Yeah.
and that I should submit to you.
Yeah.
And if they can't prove that, because a lot of cult leaders
Yeah.
also have a habit of usurping their position for Jesus.
Yeah.
They'll say that it's God, then them, then
Yeah.
Jesus.
Oh,
In a lot of
this is what we
cases.
came up out of. And I'm, yeah, you prove that. And see, you got to understand the God in the Bible is a very jealous God. He tell you that. I'm the Lord. I am a jealous God. He is jealous. So if you out there and you come across anybody that wants to exalt theyself, he tell you about lording over the heritage. Who you think you is? You just like me, a sinner. You just like me. Anybody try to exalt themselves over you or give them some extra praise, you doing it the wrong way. That's a cult leader. So it to escape this type of stuff, then you look for those red flags. Anybody that don't want to be questioned about nothing. Oh, you can't say that to them. You can't do this. Walk up out their church or wherever you at. So, because I can't ask you about my well-being when it comes down to serving the Lord, and you the one that's the leader or the pastor or the priest. Man, they call themselves everything, man. Some of these people crazy. And they are. And what it does, it separate families. It gives some people mental problems. Some of the people I grew up dead now. Some of them done went crazy and done did all type of stuff. And I thank God that he kept me with a mind. Some of us can't deal with it.
Well, we're going to wrap it up because we are running out of time. I have 2 more things to say, 1 more thing to ask you, and I have 1 more thing to say.
Okay.
So, misled ends on a cliffhanger.
Mm-hmm.
What is next regarding your life story?
Well, this is gonna be after the foster homes.
So there's going to be a second book in the making?
Yes, it is. I'm a do the second book, and I'm gonna show you the effects of what a cult do to a person. I'm going to be transparent completely, and you're gonna see the what happened after that.
So you're going to talk about what living in the cult does even after you've left
Yes.
the
Oh
cult
yeah.
and how it
Oh yeah.
still affects
Oh yeah.
you
Because you
for
never.
years.
It's always in you. These pain, this stuff. I got the scars to prove it. You know me. You know, and people that know me know I got a scar on my face. This ain't to the band. This, got scars over my body to prove how I got to shave every day and look at this. I can't even have a full beard. I want a full. This would look pretty good though. I might say myself. But I want a full beard on my face. I can't grow on this side. And I think when I look at it, sometimes I cry, sometimes I pray, and sometimes I'm upset about it because I felt like I ain't never had to go through nothing like this here before. In my mother's pursuit of making it into God's kingdom.
Well, for those of you who want to learn a lot more about Daniel Israel Yarbrough and his life's beginnings in the house of Judah, you can buy the ebook, which is now on sale at Amazon. Yay. The link is in the topic title for this live. And if you would like a paperback copy, you go to www.danielisraelyarbrough.com and order your copy. So for those of you who are interested, because people tend to not believe that there are cults out there, people tend to not understand that there are leaders that are cult minded. People don't think that they have not read the word of God for themselves and therefore don't really know and are easily deceived just because you're seeking counsel, just because you're seeking to get in God's kingdom. There are people that will take advantage of that and will have you living in a world that is a cult. So, to learn about his life, to learn about how subtle being a cult leader can be, just like the snake in the garden was subtle, isn't that what the word
That's
said?
exactly what it said.
Go to www.danielisraelyarbrough.com and go to Amazon. The title of the book is Misled, Misled, and it is an ebook form on Amazon. And with that, this is your girl. You all typically know me because I used to get my licenses and stuff before I got married as Rhea Ray Harris. But I'm Rhea Ray Harris, Yarbrough. This is the end of today's segment of the Quintessential Queens podcast. Thank you, Daniel Israel Yarbrough, for being my guest today.
Okay.
And you will hear from us again soon. If you're looking to book him to speak or to be at a book signing, go to the website. We will work it out, or inbox me on Facebook. All right, Earl, that's it.
The east side, the west side, the north side, Chi-Town,